Right. Good afternoon, everybody. Steve, are we sort of ready to do whatever we can do? Are we streaming or are we recording? Right, just to let you all know that I'm echoing. That the meeting, unfortunately, is not able to be streamed, but if you could still use all your microphones because Steve's doing a recording of the meeting. Right. So item 1 is apologies for absence, please. Kathy.
Thank you, Chair. We've got apologies from Councillor Moody.
Who's on the call virtually. Right. Item 2, declarations of interest. If anybody has any, could they please make them known? If they don't know now and it comes up later, please just yell. Thank you. Item 3, items requiring urgent attention. Sorry. I don't have any. Does anybody else have any? No? Okay. God, this is good. Item 4, confirmation of minutes. The meeting held on the 5th of March. I will just go through them. So page 1, page 2 and 3. Page 4, 5, page 6 and 7. Anybody have any comments or anything that's not coming up they'd like to bring up? No. Can I confirm those minutes? I'll propose them. Seconder, please.
Happy to second.
All those in favour? Thank you very much, everyone. Public questions, we don't have any. If I can now move on to the hub forward plan. May I just check that everybody's happy with what's happening to their bit? Built environment, Caroline, you've got to be confirmed. Economy is the same, Councillor Jury. And then health and well-being is for late autumn on the alcohol public space protection orders. Do we have anything else that needs to go in or anybody unhappy about any dates? No? Okay, we'll move that one forward then. And the next item 7 is the West Devon Housing Officer offer and Princetown scheme proposals. Councillor Renders, please.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. This paper reflects the Council's ongoing commitment to tackle the housing crisis in our borough, focusing on our ever-increasing need for affordable houses. The theme of many of my conversations since I became portfolio holder for housing, and also the discussions we had at the Housing Advisory Group meetings, have been about how all members can engage to help bring forward affordable housing-led schemes in their communities and be able to signpost people, landowners and community groups into the council. In essence, a landowner wishing to support local homes for local people can now work with dedicated officers to identify suitability, evidence the housing need, complete early surveys, massing plans and site constraints, and subject to various checks and balances in the process, those are all illustrated in the flowcharts in the report, could actually support much needed affordable housing in the borough, brought forward in partnership with an RP. I have to say the success of this scheme rests on every member doing their bit. Publicise it in your communities, speak to your local landowners and identify sites to bring back to the council. Let's deliver what is so badly needed in West Devon, affordable housing. Yeah, that's your intro. The recommendations? Recommendation 1 supports the launch of the West Devon housing offer to communities to support affordable housing delivery. Note the initial budget of 50,000 already agreed as part of the council plan to fund the West Devon housing offer. Note the update and progress on the Princetown scheme at Moreland View, and agree to utilise a grant payment from DMPA or S106 receipts of £173,000 for the purpose of affordable housing delivery, with Princetown being the preferred scheme.
you. Do any members have any questions, please? Councillor Daniel.
Thank you, Chair. I wanted to ask about community land trusts. I'd been to Sticklepath Parish Council yesterday evening. We had a presentation about setting up a community land trust because our recent housing survey identified a need for 7 affordable rented dwellings in Sticklepath, and I believe 7 in South Seal, 1 in Belstone. So that's 15 across my ward. I'm just wondering how we go about it, really, what support and grants are available for us to set up a community land trust. And also, obviously, you've touched on the point of land, and that is one of the main sticking points, I think, for us, because obviously the situation of our villages is that most of it, there isn't much land available. So I'm just wondering what support there is for us.
Thank you. Yeah, the whole purpose of the West Devon housing offer is to build much needed housing where it's needed, and we would really encourage community land trusts to form, particularly with the community. It will be then community led and really make a difference. So yeah, there is money within the flowchart within the report does illustrate how that they might be able to work with us and how we might support them with things like getting established and all the work that it takes to actually form a group. Yeah, so that is absolutely part of the offer.
Okay.
Your land is going to be a struggle, and that's you know, we're hoping that when we launch this scheme that we'll have landowners that come forward that really can see the need and the benefit within their communities of building affordable led schemes.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks.
Lamont, please.
Thank you. Yeah, can I just check the wording, please, of recommendation 4, with it saying with Princetown being the preferred scheme. My understanding was that the National Park allocated for this scheme only and not for any other scheme.
Yes, that's right. And obviously that is the preferred scheme. We would need to go back to them if there was any others, or for whatever reason this scheme was not able to come forward.
I could argue that that's not quite the point being put across in point 4. It implies that there is another scheme should Princetown not go ahead, whereas that has not been agreed by the National Park yet.
You want to change the...
I would prefer more clarity over that statement, please.
I'll take another question while you guys think. Councillor Leach, please.
Yes, it's around self-builds. I know somebody who's got some land who wants to do very green properties, self-built. Would this come under this particular scheme?
Self-build is one of those things that as affordable led is very difficult, but we would certainly not discount it at this stage. So if they wanted to come and talk to us and go through the various steps, then that would very much be welcome.
And second, will this impinge on the neighbourhood plans? There's some that have got who designated land, and I dare say that could link together. But like Oakhampton, who haven't designated any land, would it mean a free for all?
These are affordable led schemes, so that would mean that the inference there is that they are affordable led where there is evidence of housing need, so not market led. So we were hoping very much that these would work in partnership with neighbourhood plans to ensure that we are getting the needed housing where it's needed. That makes sense.
Thank you. Have we right, go ahead with your bit now.
Hang on just a second. Apologies.
If I may, Chair, while we're waiting, can I suggest the wording to say with Princetown being the currently supported scheme or approved scheme, sorry.
Just put a revision up there, Caroline. Hang on a sec. Oh, That's the mot, sorry. That,
Councillor Edmonds, please.
Thank you, Chair. Page 15, under 2.3, it lists all the proposed actions, which is great. Establish local housing need is one of them, and I seem to recall that in our previous corporate strategy, our plan, going back to last year, I think we had a delivery plan for identifying housing need, carrying out surveys. And I just wonder, as a result of that work, have we identified any communities with that housing need, which gives us a bit of a head start in terms of this particular project?
Yes, we've been working through a list. It was as from the old plan. We wanted to make sure that every parish in the borough had a up-to-date housing needs survey done within the last 5 years. We've done a lot of work with that. Princetown's had one, as Councillor Daniel was saying. There's one done in Stickle Pass. So we have got a timetable of that, which I can circulate to all members. We're also working on parish profiles as well, which will form even more, which gives each member a snapshot of different work in their parish, how many properties have been available in Devon on Devon Home Choice, what the average property prices are. So real sort of fact file for members so that they really understand their local area with it from the data.
Yeah, thanks. Just following on from that, have we got any identified land available that's come forward that perhaps we could turn to now again to get a head start, without naming the parishes? But
Yeah.
I'm just interested if there is a bank of land that
So
may be available for this.
We're hoping that this will come forward, that when we launch the scheme with the publication, that actually what we'll be able to do is get inquiries in that we'll be able to deal with. But we've got obviously our own land in Princetown that we've got that identified need for, and hence we're taking that through this process. So it's almost like our pilot project for it.
Sorry, just another thought. Have we got any brownfield sites that may be suitable for this kind of initiative?
We do have a brownfield site in the north of the borough, but we're looking at other options for that, not necessarily through the West Devon housing offer.
Okay, are there any more questions? Anybody? No, so we've gone through the recommendations. You happy to propose those?
happy to propose, yes, Chair.
Happy to second. Any debate, please, anybody? The jury, then Councillor Moore.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Councillor Renders, for your introduction to this paper. I really welcome this. I think it's a really interesting proposal. Not to want to sort of pour any oil on troubled waters, if that's the right expression. We've clearly had a couple of false starts in this area previously. And it seems to me that one of the key elements is in the diagram on page 17, I think it is, where there is a stage where we look at the outline business case and either decide to proceed or stop. And I'm assuming that one of the key elements of this is that we get to that position, having done a thorough investigation, but quickly, and then make a firm decision armed with the benefit of all the right facts, so that we do not spend more money than we need to in getting to that point. Am I right in assuming that?
Exactly right, absolutely. Yeah. And I anticipate there will be situations where we do stop. Only going to be improper.
And if I may come back, I think that's absolutely right in the context of what we're trying to, and I think we need to be brave enough to take that decision if the facts are pointing us that way, and not to carry on if it's a forlorn hope.
Too many of those, I do agree completely.
Councillor Mott, please.
Yeah, I would echo what Councillor Drury said, but also it's nice to see scheme that we're able to develop and bring forward with support of our neighbouring authority. So I think it's really nice that we are able to work together on this. and let's hope it works. And it's a way of delivering affordable housing, which is much needed, I'm sure, in Princetown. Yeah, thank you.
Councillor Daniel, please.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to say I really welcome this project. I think it shows that we're really thinking about our local communities and what's needed. And socially rented properties are really scarce, and having had a lot sold in my ward recently, I think we need to think about replacing them, thinking about the future and keeping people where they want to live in small communities and small developments. And I think as long as they're built to good environmental standards so that they're as affordable as possible to maintain and run for the tenants, I think it's a really good scheme and I very much welcome it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor West, please.
Yeah, sorry, I just thought of this. It's sort of part of a question, part of a statement. When we've done the housing survey that we've done, I'm assuming we've looked at need in terms of single bedroom properties, 2-bedroom properties, that sort of thing. So my part debate, but question is, when we do these schemes, I'm assuming that it will reflect that we might need 2 single-bedroom properties, a double 2-bedroom properties, that sort of thing. So I know that's in the future in terms of planning that, but I'm assuming within the scheme it is open to looking at the different amount of bedrooms and that sort of thing, again reflecting what the community wants from that point of view. Just a thought.
Yes, absolutely. We need to be led by the evidence. So if the evidence suggests that we need X amount of that bedroom property, then that's what we would like to put forward to bring forward in any development.
That's great. Thank you.
Thank you, Leader. Well, I totally support the recommendations, and I totally agree with Councillor Jory's point, and I think it's absolutely crucial that we are decisive and timely in those decisions if they need to be made. Absolutely, but overall, I support it. Having now read the recommendation again, recommendation 2 should really be a question, but I've missed that opportunity. So I'm going to try and just make an assumption that the budget of 50,000 is that I'm assuming the housing officer is shared with West Devon, with South Hams, and that cost is split between the 2 councils, or am I misreading that?
Sorry, it is the offer rather than the officer. So the dedicated staff that we've got is already an officer that we've got here in place, who is a shared officer with South Hams. That 50,000 is to fund viability, early massing, pre-app. We'll also be engaging. We've got a dedicated affordable housing planner who's doing some work alongside this project. So that will be to fund the early survey site work to get to the stage where we can say yes or no about taking it forward.
Daniel.
Thank you, Chair. Just a comment really that as part of looking at feasibility study for active travel in my area, we've identified that Devon County Council own quite a few parcels of land across West Devon. Wondering whether, I think that might be a way that some of us councillors could approach and to get land fairly reasonably priced for these schemes.
I'm sure Mrs. Blake will be looking into that. And we've already started to look. As I've kept fairly quiet, I'd just like to say I really support this. I think it's a great scheme and really hope that we will have some altruistic landowners who will come forward, who will want to support their communities. I've heard of schemes before that I always refer back to the one at Sprayton that was done by West Devon Homes, as they were then, and a farmer gave the front strip of all his land that went along a road, and all he wanted in return was the village hall. And West Devon Homes got 9 family homes, out of that, out at Sprayton, and they didn't have to pay for any land. So, you know, really hopeful that some altruistic people who maybe haven't got anyone to leave their property to or anything will come forward and, you know, say this, or we'll do it on a really good deal that they'll want one house but can deliver 5 or 6 others. But I think we have to stress this is not for somebody to come along to say they would like to build 7 houses and we might get one affordable, because the exception site policy will not work for that. And, you know, we are very clear about that. And I know South Hams are in their housing officer. See, we're all doing it now. Housing offer are doing exactly the same thing. It is purely for exception sites. So we all need to get looking within our areas to see what we've got and who we can negotiate with. So all those in favour of this recommendations, please. Thank you very much. That's unanimous by the look of it. Thank you. Right, moving on the agenda to item 8. We have working with our communities. So thank you, Mrs. Blake and Mr. Brooke. Welcome, Mr. Hawke and Mrs. Hunter. Right.
Thank you very much, Leader. West Devon is made up of strong and vibrant communities already working together to make it an even better place to live. As a council, we already do much to support our communities, enabling to bring forward local plans and projects using the developer funds that we hold and providing some funding of some of our key partners already working within the voluntary sector. Councils also have funding available through their local projects through their Sustainable Locality Fund. To support our ambitions, the council has taken steps to realign existing resources. Under a new post of Community Development Manager, following a recruitment process in December, our new Community Development Manager took up her post at the end of January. This is Susanna, for everybody that doesn't know who she is, obviously sat next to Neil, who you already know. The locality engagement officers have moved to the community development team from the 4th of March and will take forward the delivery of a range of actions within the council plan, including reviewing key partnership funding, facilitating the delivery of an increased member locality budget, and developing a plan to support arts and culture across the borough. The framework is set out in Appendix A and is a starting point for closer working with the voluntary and community sector within the borough. That I would like to move the recommendations. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Councillor Bridgewater. I've got a question first before I ask anyone else. Locality engagement officers, are they the same as the locality mobility officers? No, they are 2 separate lots of people. Right, there we go. That's the silly question asked, because I've been getting confused about all these different roles. Right, does anybody have any questions, please? No questions. Mr. Hawke, would you like to talk any more about this, please?
No, I was just going to say, as if by magic. Oh, am I on silent? Okay. As if by magic, the locality engagement officers joined at the back of the room. Dill and Luke, to give them their real names, have just joined the discussion. I guess just to build on what Councillor Bridgewater said, and Susanna and team will be working on this over the coming months. I think it was a key point highlighted through the corporate peer challenge that it's great that we're doing lots of stuff, and there's lots of stuff, for want of a better way of putting it, in the council plan that will have community focus. We just need to now develop our strategic approach to community development, and that's what Susanna and team will be doing over the coming months. It's chicken and egg, you know. Without having the team in place, it's difficult to develop that approach. But that will certainly be the focus for the team in the coming months, and we'll be working with members to develop that. And I think Councillor Bridgewater would probably have an advisory group, in terms of a reset of advisory groups to focus on what does our community development offer look like. So very much intended to be a high-level framework at this moment in time to just spark members' thoughts ahead of future discussions on it.
Thank you, Councillor Jury.
Thank you, Leader. If I may just ask a question, and the question is to what extent are these, I think, very welcome proposals going to be focused on working with parish and town councils? And I ask the question specifically because I can see a real potential benefit in parishes and towns buying into this idea, and perhaps increasing their own precepts in order to provide additional for additional needs and provide additional resources throughout the borough. And to that extent, you know, the money that we're investing could be used perhaps to leverage more money for the community that is going to lead to greater benefit. So I might have answered my own question, but I did try and phrase it as a question.
Yes, you did answer your own question there, I think, Councillor Jory. But yes, one of the actions is to re-establish the town and parish council links meetings that I think have worked to varying degrees in the past. To reinvigorate those, and certainly the community development team will be part of those discussions moving forwards to look at opportunities.
Thank you. Any other questions? Councillor Redman.
Just following on for that, thank you, Chair. Is there an opportunity there to get that message out by the ward members as well, who regularly visit or attend town and parish council meetings? Is that a good message for members to have and to deliver, and also to show their involvement in any of these community actions?
Absolutely, Councillor Edmonds. Yes. I think our members are on the forefront. A key part of the strategy or the framework is engagement, and you are our engagement out there all day, every day, pretty much, aren't you? There with the town and parishes and your communities. You know your communities better than us as officers sat here do. So no, absolutely.
And this will also bring us back with some of the links meetings that we've been asked to hold. When we had a towns and parishes meeting, Mr. Hawke and I facilitated, chaired, whatever we both did. There's strong comment back from the community's worth. They wanted the links meetings reinstated. We realised from talking with the members on that call that actually it was the in-person meetings that people missed. They missed being able to see their neighbouring parishes, to be able to talk about different issues that are quite often the same, and you don't get that on a Teams call. So we're looking to start those sometime in the summer, aren't we, to just see how they go. We have said to those who were on the call, if you want these, you have to come along and support them, otherwise we won't be doing them. You know, it's pretty clear. So people have to support. Dates will go out early enough. And, you know, my request from members would be that if we can be at those meetings to support our local communities as well, because I know some parishes don't necessarily want to see their ward councillors. Some really welcome them, and some say, well, if you've got anything to say, type of thing. So, you know, some I can see the wry grin coming from Councillor Edmonds, but you chair your parish as well anyway, don't you? So yeah, that covers you. But yes, so it is really important that as ward councillors that we do attend our parish meetings, and we know that there are some very dedicated members that attend all of their parish meetings, and there are others, they're lucky if they see them once or twice a year. And actually, you know, that is one of the things why we are given an allowance, is to facilitate us to go and to share the information, because sometimes it's nothing worse than somebody saying, well, we didn't know, but actually your ward councillor's known and should have passed that message on. And sometimes it works the other way, that we can learn things from our parishes at their meetings that we don't necessarily know in here. So, you know, it's all to be encouraged, and that's what this plan is looking at doing. So, Councillor, is that your finger? I thought you were just sat there like that. Sorry. Councillor Mott, please.
Thank you, Chair. And I'm also conscious that Councillor Moody has got his hand up on online as well, in case you hadn't noticed it. absolutely welcome the reintroduction of the links meetings. However, I do think we need to be conscious that in the past they were very much top down, when I know that that wasn't the intention of their purpose, if you like. So I do think we need to be very clear on the need for parish engagement within that process, because otherwise it's another talking shop, it's another meeting that people go to and they get spoken to. So I think if we can sort of engage with them and get their buy-in from the beginning and get them to bring issues forward, that would carry it forward. Whereas, if it ends up being like it ended up being before, then it is just another case of where we're all turning up to the same meeting again and we're all looking at the same faces and not much progress is going to be. And like you said, it does need member engagement, and I appreciate everybody's got busy lives, everybody's got their own things to do as well, but part of the role of being a member of this council is attending your parish meetings and being that conduit, if you like, from the parishes to the council and from the council to the parishes. But, yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much for that. And actually, just before I bring Councillor Moody in and Councillor Daniel, is the issue that Councillor Daniel brought forward of the housing in Stickle Path was actually raised in that meeting in January, wasn't it, Mr. Hawke? They talked quite a lot about how we could help them. So that did help. Councillor Moody first, please.
Thank you, Leader. Yes, I think some of my thunder has been stolen. Councillor Mott, totally agree that the reinstatement of the links meetings will be absolutely a benefit to us. Also, as I've always gone on about, involvement of ward members. We've got 31. We need that all 31 to be working towards community development as well. And as you just touched on, the issue about the previous item about housing, community development will be able to be a resource that will help possibly identify housing issues in particular areas. But also, what the other thing I wanted to say was that this also cuts across all many of the other lead members' roles, and particularly health and well-being, in my portfolio, trying to identify people who can't access council services easily via the internet and by data. So I think it's going to help a number of us, and we can all work together. And I'd certainly like to be included in any meetings or groups that Councillor Bridgewater meetings that he has. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Moody. Councillor Daniel, please.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to say, and it was touched upon earlier on, that the links between parishes, in my experience, are quite poor. Going to the 3 different parishes across my ward, the parish council meetings all discuss the same issues or pretty similar, but they don't seem to talk to each other. And I'm wondering, or I'm hoping that the links meetings will try and facilitate greater communications between individual parishes, because I think that's what we're falling down on a bit. I mean, I do try and pass messages between them, but I don't know how effective that is. And I think that's one thing that we could do as a council, is to make sure that you know what the next parish is doing, and that can you work together on this, because the more people that are working on it, the more chance you've got of success. So I'd like to see the links take that into consideration as part of their role. Thank you.
I think that's also really important when we talk about like community land trusts and housing and things. There should be no boundary lines. You should be able to cross it quite easily. We talk about this at the Devon Housing Task Force, that actually, if you want to have these innovative schemes, you can't suddenly go, that's the boundary, you're not going over it. It doesn't work like that. You've got to go across and be prepared to work together. And I think that's where this is really important. As you say, you attend all of your meetings, but they don't believe in talking to each other. And I think that's where having a cup of tea or whatever with links meeting, it did encourage that. And I think we'll have to look at how those links meetings works, because we used to specify like one person from a parish, but maybe you're not necessarily getting the right person from a smaller parish. So, you know, if people want to come, let them come. You know, hopefully we won't get 150, but, you know, if people do want to come along. Was that your finger? Yeah, you're warning me.
was. Thank you, Leader. I think, yes. So to come back on Councillor Moody's point, absolutely, it will cut across a number of themes, and, you know, developing a culture, arts and culture strategy, for example. Well, clearly that overlaps with some of the work in Councillor Jory's portfolio in terms of attracting people into the area and supporting the economy through arts and culture. So there will be overlaps, and I thought it's probably worth, because the other area that Councillor Moody referred to was health and well-being, and just if I could just bring Susanna in terms of some of the work she's already doing with the CVS.
Need to bring it a bit further forward, Susanna.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Okay, can you hear me? Yes, is that okay? Bit further. Okay, does that sound? Okay. I think all I was going to say was that I've already we've talked about who we're going to work in partnership with, and we've got some fantastic community partners out there already. And I think it's about working with our communities, not sort of telling them what to do, but actually finding out what they're doing and supporting them to do that. And so I've attended some of the health and wellbeing alliances. So there's a West Devon Health and Wellbeing Tavistock. Heard some amazing work that's going on out there. And they're already asking, I'm going to be representing us at those meetings. And so, yes, they're sort of letting us know what their priorities are and how we might be able to support them. So that's really positive. We want to work very closely with West Devon CVS as a key partner, so co-producing an action plan, around our work, so that it's very much a joint community.
Can I just check, are we in questions or debate at the moment?
We're in debate, actually.
I thought we'd got snuck into that.
There you go.
First,
Oh, questions.
hang on.
Oh,
Okay.
right. Right.
My question's based on that last statement and health and well-being. Whoever's got the hat on for health and well-being, how will this work with communities? Are we going to be a joint effort when it comes to do reports and things like that? Or is it all going through communities? And this particular position doesn't have a say. Because at this moment in time, I also attend these, when I can, also attend these health and wellbeing groups.
I was just going to respond to that point, Leader, just in terms of, so I think in the council plan, the community development function sits within community theme, which is Councillor Bridgewater's theme, but there are of course overlaps, and there are specific things that the communities team will deliver that sit in your delivery plan, Councillor Leach. So, for example, the mental health assemblies is within your delivery plan, but the community development team will take on that relationship with them. Currently sits with me. They will take on some of the relationships with those organisations. So there will be reporting from the community development team to you as lead member in terms of actions in your section of the council plan, as there will other lead members. So they're very much a resource there supporting various strands of the council plan that has a community focus and probably historically hasn't had a natural home in the organisation in terms of staff to deliver.
Be helpful if we have some form of family tree to show which officer is. For me, at the moment, I go through Ian, who covers most of these things. Now, if it's going to be split up, whoever sits in my seat needs to know who to talk to and when. At the moment, it seems sort of quite murky.
To answer that, I think with the comments also made from the peer review, I think we will be looking at how the roles on the hub with the title of that role is looked at going forward, and we will come together, particularly, you know, when we know a bit more from the peer review as to what their recommendations were, because we've only heard the verbal, We haven't seen the written report yet. And working with Susanna and Neil that and the senior leadership team as to how we can put these things together, because we recognise that some roles on the hub are top heavy and some seem to have a finger in every single pie of the council. So it is a case of looking forward and to seeing how it's best suited, that it fits in with what we are for our council plan. If that's the end of questions, I'm going to move, ask Councillor Bridgewater to move his recommendations and then go forward.
So I'd like to move the recommendations as on the sheet down on the board. Thank you.
All in favour, please? No, well, please.
Thank you, Leader. And really interesting paper, and I really welcome the contents of it. I think as a local council, this sort of thing's central to what we do, and working with our communities with all the benefits that that should bring, the other themes that we're responsible for, is absolutely evident. So I really welcome that. I think we have to be less driven by a hierarchical structure and even more driven by the needs of our communities. So I think this is particularly welcome. And with my economy hat on, I also recognise Mr. comment about benefits that art and culture to the economy. So really looking forward to sort of working with colleagues within the really interesting topic. Thank you.
Councillor West, please.
Yeah, Chris, I will be there tonight talking to my parish council about this actually quite excitedly. So I will follow up on your recommendation for ward members to be talking to their parish councils. I'll actually do that tonight. So thank you for that. I must admit, I do welcome this because, as we all know, that sometimes some of the when we've got problems with the community, sometimes it's the communities themselves that can solve those problems, as long as we are there giving the resource and support to be able to do that. So this really is a step in the right direction, and agree about improving links between parish councils. Sort of thing. I've got Borough Tour and I've got Horrabridge, and I do wonder whether there is a conversation between the two of them at times. So I really look forward to trying to implement this and get this moving forward within our wards. Thank you.
Leach, please.
Yes, I welcome this as well, because we go back to T18. The only thing that I personally agreed with was the setting up localities, actually working with the communities, which I think has worked pretty well. And this, I feel, is going, okay, if the wheel turns, we're going back to what used to be the up-connect system back in 2012. We had little groups all over the borough that talked to each other and fed both ways. Unfortunately, that got scrapped. I can see this as being an updated version of that. So I'm fully behind that. I am concerned it's something that I have mentioned already, and that's the actual executive summary. I'm glad to see that it's been added to a bit that shows the COVID pandemic, which highlighted certain strengths, etc. But my biggest concern is that doesn't show the full picture of what West Devon has been doing since. So we've had a pilot that looked at one area to see how we can work better with the communities. We've had now the cost of living issues, how we can help our communities. And I just feel that should be emphasised somewhere in this report. Not only because it shows a journey, but it also shows that our officers have been working extremely hard in putting forward ideas as to how we take this forward. And for me, it looks like it's been airbrushed out as though, oh, well, it was immaterial. It's 2 years, 18 months, 2 years of work that's brought us to this. And I think the officers would be quite upset to think that all that work is being sort of shoved aside. So if it's possible to get a bit more wording, it'd be good. Thank you.
We have been bringing reports forward over the years from the time that we started that study. I think Beer Alston and Beer Ferris was the first place we looked at all that work. I don't think anybody's been airbrushed. I think the pandemic had a lot to do with it because we couldn't visit people. And as we all know, that's 2 to 3 years ago now. Well, 3 years ago. And we've also had changes in staff and things like that, and people's roles evolve. And the locality officers were first coming out with that, but actually we've moved forward because we have locality engagement officers. Then beneath that is locality mobility officers. And with the strength of having Susanna and Neil, so there's a complete team now, which we didn't necessarily have before, working in the same cohesive way. Because if you remember, you know, and I don't want to go too far back, but when the locality officers first started, there was a lot of uncertainty around what they were meant to be doing, you know, because they didn't put up some of the planning sign notices to start with. That was still done by a planner, and the role was evolving as to a planner, they are paid a certain rate, and actually somebody else is paid a different rate, and it is more economically viable as a council that a planner should be planning, not putting up posters and sign notices, etc. So we did that, and the role of the locality mobility officer has evolved around that period of time. And I think it's evolved really well. And Bill and Luke, who are both here, they manage that system and how that affects and goes forward. And I think we're doing it really well, and we were commended by it. We were also given some ideas for another council to look at for their community development, and our officers have looked at that. Some of them, there's some good points, some that aren't relevant to us because we're a little bit more rural. So I think going forward, this is the right way to go, Councillor Leach. And I think it's exciting. And I think the officers think it's exciting as well. And all the while we've got excitement in the room amongst the team that want to work together and to work with us. That is to be celebrated. And none of it is, you know, saying that what went on in the past wasn't right. It was right for the time that it was done, but now going forward, this is right for what we're doing. And those officers have been thanked. I think there's a certain person in this room, if there hadn't been, they'd have left long ago. And that person is still here and very much committed to their role within this council. So yes, so I'll leave it at that.
I'd like to come back. What I started off by saying is I'm very happy with where we're going. I'm just saying that we're not showing what West Devon has been doing to get to this point in the last 2 years. So we've gone from COVID to what we're now going to do, where there's been a lot of work done in those 2 years, which could have just been an extra sentence in here just to say, this is what we've done. That's it. As far as the report's concerned, where we're going, no problem.
Much, Councillor Leach. Does anybody else wish to say anything in debate, please? Councillor Daniel.
I just want to take further my previous comment about the lack of links between our parishes, or the lack of communication, and sort of thinking about it. Most of them have vacancies. They struggle to have a full complement of local people. They struggle to get local population enthused or engaged. And I'm wondering whether, as part of the advisory group, you could be looking at, you know, is this good for democracy and local representation? And could we look at the very small parishes, perhaps being a different format? larger bodies, I'm thinking, with more money and more influence. I mean, is that something that we could take forward into your advisory group, Adam, and say, well, if they're small and they aren't able to do very much, and they don't appear to be, some of them almost moribund, is that something that we could talk up in the links meetings to say, what is there another way you'd want to do things than what we've inherited, which goes back a very long way, I would imagine. Thank you.
Councillor Bridgewater, please.
Yes, Councillor Daniel would take that fully on board. I mean, we've been through governance reviews recently over at with Sanford Spiny and places like that, where they've gone to a community meeting and things like that. But obviously, we can't impose that onto the local parish councils. But I mean, it's something we can take forward and work with them and work on the engagement. Yes, absolutely.
Can I just correct you? It's Sydenham Dammer, not Sanford Spiny. Got Mark here getting concerned. Yeah, but thank you very much. Right, everyone done? May I see all those in favour of the recommendations, please? That's on the screen. Thank you very much. That's everyone. Thank you. Sorry, item 9 is the long stay pay and display charges. Councillor Bridgewater again, please.
Thank you very much, Leader. On the 21st of November 2023, the Hub Committee agreed to give notice of the proposals to amend West Devon Borough Council's off-street parking. Council recognises the importance of supporting the High Street. This was the reason there was a strategic change to selected long stay tariffs, only to enable short stay tariffs to remain at 2021 levels. Proposed parking changes remain fair and proportionate and offer competitive pricing locally for visits to our towns compared with other local authorities within Devon. Following on from Devon County Council's postponement of on-street car parking charges, the Council recognises the need to ensure that any future proposals from Devon County Council aligns with West Devon Borough Council's off-street parking schemes to ensure that any such scheme is not detrimental to the economy of the high streets in any of the towns. Slight bit of background, the last tariff amendments were carried out in March 2021 and there's been no increase since. Following the feedback from customers, it was also proposed that Abbey Car Park in Tavistock be extended from a 4 to a 6 hour maximum stay to allow for longer term parking. It was also proposed to remove Lidford and Brentall Car Park from the off-street parking order following proposed termination of the agreement with the Dartmoor National Park. Very much.
Thank you. Any questions, please? Councillor Jury, please.
Thank you. Just a very quick one. I note obviously there's been a number of objections on grounds of increase of price, which unless those objections were all from Chagford and Hatherley, I don't really get. Is there any indication of where geographically those objections came from? It seems to me that we've done a really good job in keeping the car park prices in the main towns as low as we possibly can.
Yeah, so the bulk of the objections, well, of the small number of objections that we received, were from Tavistock, not from the other town.
Do you take that as the implication then that folk are pushing for there to be no car parking charges in order to support the town centre? Because I don't think we're in a position where we would either want that or could get to that.
So when you ask anybody about car parking charges, I think the natural reaction is to say they're either too high or don't increase them. So I don't think it's surprising to find that we have a number of people who object. I think we've been very careful in our car parking charging policy to ensure that we haven't introduced charges, increased charges over a period of time. And the proposal to do so this time, it takes very clear account of how we think local people need and use those facilities. So clearly, I'm not surprised that some have objected. It is a small number, and maybe it's something to do with the recent issues that have been generated in Tavistock specifically over the on-street car parking, which has brought things to people's attention and perhaps fired up the local community a bit more than they were previously. Councillor Jory.
Councillor Moody, please.
Right, with you. Just a question. I don't want to go into it, but I noticed that on my online ModGov, there was an item 3. It's been removed. Was there a reason for that?
Have you got them all there now, Councillor Moody?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, the screen's changed here now. It's
Yes,
showing the continuation.
Oh, well, all right. Okay. Well, I will comment on that in debate. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Are there any more questions, please? No. Councillor Bridgewater, would you like to recommend?
Yes, I'd like to move the recommendations as on the screen there. Thank you.
I'm happy to second. So we're moving into debate. Councillor Moody, please.
Thank you. Yes, on that item 3, I think that I'm so pleased that Devon County have decided to not pursue, but the part on-street pay and display. The only thing in their recommendation at their cabinet was I think it was item number 3, where it was suggested that it was very unclear that they didn't. They were suggesting that it would be up to local towns to decide what they need to do to resolve their own issues. But I'm pleased that we're asking for a indication from Devon County Council, and the fact that if there are going to be any future proposals, that we are proactively consulted. Totally agree with that. And the other point I'd like to make is West Devon parking charges are one of the cheapest in the area. I have had a number of comments to me about that. And the other thing that I've always wondered is that when someone buys a car, they understand that there's a cost of insurance and tax and petrol and repairs and tires and all the rest of it. But a lot of people don't ever think that parking is part of motoring. I find that a bit odd. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Moody. I think in answer to Devon County Council is most of us have said in Tavistock and I believe Oakhampton is what traffic issues, because we don't believe that we have any. We self-monitor. So actually the response to Devon County is the answer is nothing, because we don't perceive we have a problem. So I will leave that at that. Does anybody else wish to come in? Councillor Edmonds, please.
Well, I'm very pleased to see that recommendation 3 has been strengthened. And I'm just wondering, whether that should go even further, perhaps copying our county council members so that they're fully aware of where we stand on this one, so that perhaps, we're all in the same, we're in the same position. Everyone is aware that we should be consulted, and perhaps those members can help to bring that about, should it be required.
I think that's a really good idea, Councillor Edmonds, and I'm quite happy, or I'm sure Councillor Bridgewater is, to alert our 4 county councillors that we've had this meeting today and that the answer is nothing. That we have strengthened it. We would ask them to, correspond with us if they are thinking of bringing in any further plans, and that they liaise with us at the very beginning when it's first mooted, because we had to wait this time nearly a year before any sort of discussion took place, and by then it was due unto. I think if that is strengthened, put in place, all 4 county councillors are written to. When there's elections next year, if there's any changes, then we write to them all again and say this is the stance from West Devon. And please know that, Councillor Bridgewater.
Yeah, and just on the back of that as well, we've been proactive. After the last hub meeting, we did write to Campton Town Council and Tavistock Town Council and to the bid as well to keep them informed of what we are pertaining to do with our parking charges. So very much we are making sure that we are liaising with all our partners.
And I'm sure we'll monitor for a response from Devon County, and I'm sure we'll bring that to Hub attention in due course. And I'm sure it wouldn't happen, but in the absence of any response, again, could we return to our county members and perhaps ask them to pursue Devon County to make sure that we do get a response, but the onus, on the local members to support.
I think that's a really good idea, Councillor Edmonds, and I think we just have to support that and ensure that those members know that their Devon County officers are meant to be talking to us, affirming, denying, whatever, of a way forward. Can I bring you Councillor West now, please?
Yeah, I'd just like to say, can I thank the officers and that, and Mark for bringing this to our attention before Christmas. And I would hope that our comments to Devon County Councils helped actually push them into the realisation that this is not a popular decision and that we should have autonomy over this if we possibly can. So thank you to the officers and those members such as Jeff that brought this forward for discussion before Christmas. It was well done. I'd also like to thank the officers and Adam in terms of leading this, because as we know, parking charges are one of those things which are very emotive, and inevitably you can't please everybody all the time. But I think this is a well balanced decision in that we're meeting the needs of our local population, and for our visitors, well, yeah, they will have to pay that a little bit more. But as we said, compared to a lot of other areas and attractions, it's a good rate and it is representative. I think it's proportionate. So well done for everybody for putting through something which could be very emotive, as we know, for example, to the meters. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Councillor West. Does anybody else want to say? Councillor Jury, please.
Thank you. I'd just like to reiterate those comments and say that I think this is a really well balanced and well thought out report, and thank you to Mrs. Widdicombe and her team for producing that. I'd perhaps also like to add that quite independently and without any kind of leading into this discussion at all, I've had conversations with two people in the last 3 months who both said, oh, Tavistock, oh yeah, we go there and we go there shopping and their shops are great and the parking was really, really good value. And quite unprompted that people have said that. So, there must be something in the fact that our fees are somewhat lower than other places. And I think that does, well, I hope that does benefit the economy of both towns and elsewhere. But I'll certainly be voting in favour.
Can I ask, we finished debate? Yep. All those in favour of the recommendation? Thank you all very much. Thank you, Mrs. Widdicombe and your team for all the work that you've done. And some of it you did come up with very quickly. I do remember for one of our Hub SLT meetings. So thank you for that, Emma. And good to see you all. That's the end of the meeting, but I would like to say a thank you to the officers for really short, concise reports. And let's hope this is a way forward. I think it is much more engagement from people, from members who don't always attend the Hub or they don't need to and things like that, that they'll read these papers if they're much shorter. I do feel sometimes some of our reports can be quite lengthy. There may be reasons why, but there's also that we could refer to a previous report without having to reiterate. And I would love us to see agendas this size, that instead of 200 odd pages, because most people lose the will to live. So thank you all. Thank you very much, members, for coming along this afternoon. I believe there's some walks leaflets for us all to take home that I assume have come from Councillor Leach. Oh, Councillor Mott. Oh, I saw Oakhampton Walks and I just made a wrong assumption. So thank you very much for bringing them in, Caroline. And meeting closed. Thank you, everyone.